For the last couple of years, we've had it at 50,000 to start with the budget implementation for 2010, it was ratcheted back to 30. So the 20,000 and change gets us close to where we have been historically through 2008 and 2009. And this work is centered specifically around E Street and the water line enhancement.
Council, questions? Moving on to the PSA with,
Ilya, I believe? Yes, this is a budgeted item specifically for parks in our professional services line item, utilizing Mr. Ilya for structural for a bridge for Dr. Eldridge Park over Campen Creek to the west side. You can see within his scope of work, there's specific deliverables on design of abutments, construction drawings, seismic and specifications for that bridge. And it is a budgeted item, part of the 2010 Parks Professional Services.
I do have one question about this. Under our contract, this may just be a standard thing that we throw in there, but I'm not positive. We require him to secure a City of Washougal business and occupation license. But I noticed his address is in Portland, and I was wondering, is this, I mean, where does this come from as far as requiring a city business license for us to contract to him for one job? And, oh, I'm sorry, that's on point number 9 in the contract. Top of, I don't know which page it is.
Prior to performing, shall secure business license.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious why we were requiring that.
I can look up municipal code 5.04020 to see when that was actually
Oh, okay.
passed. It may be dated as well. Because the second part of that reflects the E-Verify, the 100,000 or more.
certainly not uncommon.
Okay.
You know, I'm not so sure by statute, anybody that is doing business within the city of Washougal is required to have a business license. I know even when we're going out city by city doing attending systems, that type of stuff, there are a number of cities that now require us just for a one-time set to have a city
Wow.
business license regardless, so.
Wow. Okay.
That's unusual.
There's some limits to that. I mean, does FedEx need to have them? UPS, there's only certain ways you can track some of it. So this one certainly with the folks that we're paying to do business inside the city is one way to think that. Track them.
Is Mr. Elia on our short list of approved contractors that we can go to? I forget what you call that.
We have a small works roster or engineering roster,
That's the
professional
one.
service.
Thank you. Okay. One more question, if I may. This is completely within the park or between a park and a community?
It's between parkland. There's parkland on both sides of Campen Creek. Within the last 6 months, we had a property swap with a parcel owner in that area to the west. So it's both city-owned property or public-owned property.
Has the community conveyed any desire for this bridge?
The community that abuts the parks,
Yeah, through the park?
there was
or-
a few questions about connectivity when we had the survey sample for updating the comprehensive plan, which is getting close to going before Planning Commission. So I think it had connectivity in general is what it referenced, specifically for Doc Eldridge. I don't know if there's been that outreach effort for this specific bridge.
I'm always interested in, did anybody ask for this? Thank you.
Two things. Are there any haves and have-nots live on either side of this bridge?
No, they're all halves on both sides.
Okay. Technical question I have for you is, Paul, don't choke on that one, okay? 'Cause I know you're one of those halves over there now. Is this gonna be cheaper than putting it in ground?
Yes.
Putting the water lines and stuff if we go with the bridge?
Yes.
Okay, and that's, Dave, whether we talk to the neighborhood or not, the bottom line of this is it's cheaper to go with the pedestrian bridge and take these utilities across than it is to dig a ditch down through and come
I
up
see
to the
you
side.
put the lines under.
That's the reason for this.
Up under the bridge? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good point.
At a recent park board meeting last week, Suzanne explained that she had gone to the HOA on the eastern side, Columbia Ridge, I think it's called. They couldn't decide, there was a little bit of indecision there. The land swap, they weren't so happy about that, and then all of a sudden, apparently in the last few months, they made a decision that, yes, they did like it, they thought it was a good idea. And it actually does make the project quite a bit simpler and easier as far as the route they would have to take and the kind of, with the slopes that they've got, the pathway, the way the paths would run and everything. So it's actually very favorable, I think, on all sides.
So just to clarify, what Mr. Elia is proposing to provide for professional services doesn't include hanging utilities. It's specifically for pedestrian. Hanging utilities gets fairly complex. So we're still proposing for the W Street water line improvements to open excavate that portion of the project.
Oh, you're not hanging them from the bridge?
No,
Okay.
this is
Oh, wow.
specifically PED.
Should we look at that, whether we hang it from the bridge?
We're still running that scenario for the W Street improvements, which is in conjunction with zone number 4 reservoir improvements
Yeah.
to get high-pressure water over to the northeast portion of town, 49th and Doc Eldridge W area. So we're looking at that, but it's close to a 110-foot span
Oh, okay.
where we're going across.
The only other question I have is, Paul, how did that turn out? When we started that process over there in your neighborhood, we had all that controversy. After the fact, didn't you just say recently that everybody thought it was wish now what had happened, it was a good deal? They would love to have had a bridge?
There were still people who hated the idea of the bridge. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had a shaved head and
Tom Curry?
Evers?
Tom Curry.
and of course.
Evers.
We'll get into the
Colonel Stein
have
passed
not
away.
conversation.
Yeah.
And 2 others have moved out of that very loud, angry group. But about 4 to 1 of the people that I talked to, they were volunteered that they were disappointed that there was no bridge. Mostly because it would have meant that the high school kids could walk home instead of taking a bus. Or parents having to go get them after football practice or whatever.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So Western Wood Structures will be doing the actual construction of the bridge, is that correct?
Yes, that's what he
On
has.
the back of the agenda bill.
Yeah.
Okay, so, basically, was he going to be doing the whole thing at first, or how
Did-
was that going to work out? It was changed, obviously, so you.
He's going to
had
be
update
doing
it.
design, it doesn't include construction. It'd be a
Okay.
design phase and then a construction
Okay.
phase.
And
based
Western
on
Wood Structures, is that a local company, or?
Western Wood,
Mhm.
I'd have to look to make sure. Local like Vancouver or Washington.
Just to know where
Okay.
it is, because there's no agreement or any sort of bid or anything from Western Wood included with this.
Right.
agenda bill, so I'm just curious to know
Yeah, and based off
how much this is gonna cost.
the bid book for Washington, there's specifics on competitive bid. So obviously wouldn't be able to award directly based on how much the
Okay, so.
engineer
Right.
estimate is.
No, definitely, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, I'm just curious